Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first time here, hello, welcome. This is Essential Patience and I am Patience. And in today's video, we are going to be answering a very important question. Are you broke? Now, this is a question that I'm sure that, we all kind of ask ourselves once in a while. We joke about it sometimes, and we really have to ask ourselves, are we broke? But the way people assess brokenness is very different. So today I am going to talk about some measures and some questions that you can ask yourself. If you fall into the broke category, you'll be clear by the end of this video. But without further ado, remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video and ring the notification bell because I post 2 videos a week. Let's get straight in. Are you broke? So one of the first ways we can assess if you're broke is debt. How much debt do you have? And where is that debt? So let's say you have one debt, like a mortgage, and it is a 30-year fixed mortgage and it equals $400,000. That is a lot of debt. However, it's not the worst because it's a mortgage and it's fixed rate, which means you'll be paying the same amount, and there's an end, right? At the end of 30 years, this one. It's an appreciated asset. You don't want to buy more house than you can afford, but you could always sell that house and get the money out. It is an asset. It's a form of wealth, and it adds to your net worth. Now, let's say you own something like a car and you have $100,000 in auto loan debt. While you own that car and that car is technically an asset, it is also a liability, and it's a depreciating asset. Therefore, a liability, meaning that even though you have $100,000 in auto loan debt, if you sell it 10 years from now, unless it's some sort of collectible car, one of those rare cars that gain value, most cars lose value. And being worth about $100,000 in multiple cars is most likely going to lose value. So it's not really an asset. It's a really bad debt. If it's credit card debt, that's even worse because you get nothing for it. You can't sell it. There's no assets in there. If it's a student loan debt, even though it's an investment into your education, it's a debt that is not attached to the asset. Well, your skills are, but it's not something that you can get anything out of except with your skills. So there's a ton of debt, personal loan debt, HELOCs. Down and find out, how much debt do I have? Which categories do my debt fall into? And if you have a ton of debt, you might just be broke. A second way to assess if you're broke is to ask yourself, do you have 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund? The reason why it's 3 to 6 months is because different people in different areas of their life, once you hit at least 3 months, you're in a good situation. Now, if you're a person that has very irregular income, or you are in a transition period, you're moving, a good 6-month emergency fund should be the standard for you because you are in an uncertain area of your life. Or let's say you have a family, you're a breadwinner, you have children, you're married, 6 months of emergency fund would be really great for the both of you. If you don't have any emergency fund, you would be considered broke. Or if you have less than 3 months, it's in a really tricky area. I deep dived into emergency funds and found out that less than half of Americans can even afford $1,000 emergency fund. In fact, it was so bad that most Americans don't even have any form of emergency fund. And if they needed to cover $1,000 emergency, they would have to borrow that money from the bank, from people. And this is a very sad situation, especially in the vast consumerism culture that we live in. So what you want to make sure is that you are keeping track of all of your money and you're putting some away as an emergency fund. Emergency funds should be something that you can easily reach into if something happens. And even as a standard, this is not financial advice, but most people say at least have $10,000, even if 6 months of emergency fund is not up to $6,000. So let's say for whatever reason, all of your monthly expenses adds up to $1,000. You want to have a 6-month emergency fund, so that's technically $6,000. The best thing is to at least aim for $10,000 because at least with that situation, something happens to your car, $10,000 10,000 is substantial enough to really make a difference where you don't have to get into a debt. It takes a while for you to get back to zero. So at least aim for $10,000, but 3 to 6 months is a good place to start. And if you have an emergency fund, you're not broke, but if you don't, you just might be broke. Now we're moving on to retirement savings. Your 20s are the best decades for compound growth, which means that you should start saving for retirement now when you're in your 20s, because when you get to your 30s, that's the second best decade for compound growth, but you still wouldn't be able to make up for what you lose in your 20s. Once you lose this decade, you never quite get it back unless you're like pushing away retirement by another decade, and who wants to do that? A lot of young people put off retirement because they say, I'm so young, I have the rest of my life to save. But if you can't save now, what makes you think that next decade of your life, in your 30s, when especially a lot of people are getting married, having children, having big purchases like house, now you're responsible for so much more. What makes you think that at that time you have more room in your budget to save? Of course, most people, their income peak around their 40s, but even then, 40s are one of the decades where people have the most expenses in their lives. So make sure that if you are in a good place now, you always set aside something for emergency fund and for retirement. Open a Roth IRA, invest in a Roth IRA. The amount to max it at $6,500 a year. I also have a video on all of these retirement accounts for the year 2023, so make sure you should check it out if you want to know how much you recommended that you invest. So make sure that you start planning that now. This is the time to put away whatever that you can and let compound interest, the eighth wonder of the world, do its thing. Next is, do you have non-retirement savings? Now this is not one of those that it's like you have to have. If you have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, if you're saving a good amount for retirement, you don't really need this. However, a lot of us have goals, and if you have goals, it's good to save for those goals that are separate from them. So for example, let's say you wanted to upgrade your car, but you want to upgrade your car in the next 5 years. You can start saving now in a taxable brokerage account and save for the future. So when it's time to upgrade your car, you can upgrade it with cash rather than taking out debt. And let's say a lot of people have done that now, they wouldn't have to be subjected to the very high interest rates that's going on when you buy a car. People are literally getting 10%, and it's considered standard for a person with a decent credit score. Now, if you also want to buy a house one day, this is a good time to start saving. Now, you don't want to put that in a retirement fund, because for an IRA, you can pull out, I think, about $10,000 without any penalties to buy a house, for down payments on a house. But with 401ks, you will be penalized, and with a lot of these other retirement accounts, you will be penalized. So make sure that if you want to buy a house someday, you want to have a fund to buy a house. And these are big moments. Even having a wedding, now the average wedding costs over $30,000. If you want to have a wedding, you want to start saving and have a fund so you can pay and cash flow the wedding and not have to start off your marriage in debt. This is so many things that you can do. So you have goals, have funds, and start saving towards those. And if it's far enough, you can invest the money. If it's closer, do not invest the money, put in a high yield savings account. But if you're aiming for like, oh, I want to buy a house in 10 years, invest that money so that money is doing something in the market, and in 10 years you would have gained so much interest on it that it would help you on that down payment on a house. The next thing is, do you have a budget, and are you following that budget? Now, if you don't have a budget, it is time to introduce yourself to one. There is no reason why somebody should be living in this world today with no budget. Nobody has that much money. Even big trillion-dollar companies have a budget. What does that say to you as a person who probably doesn't make $1 trillion a year? That you also need a budget. Even rich people have a budget. They have somebody managing their finances for them. But this is the time when you take control of your finances and you introduce yourself to a budget if you don't have one. Make one, but most importantly, follow it. You can't manage what you don't measure. You have to know how much money you're making, how much money you're paying for your housing, how much money is going towards your debts, how much money is going towards savings and investment. Manage all your finances, and it will put you on the road to being successful in the future. You can't just wander your way to financial freedom. There's some people who can do that if they get, say, a big retirement, or if their business hits a big. Yes, but for most people, that's not part of their future, or that's a very small minority, that you have to be intentional about managing your money in order to reach financial freedom. So making space in your budget to max out your Roth IRA and to max out your 401k, your HSAs, to put money towards a down payment for a house, to put money towards a car. Make a budget and stick to that budget, because if you don't manage your money, you would not most likely have a financially successful future. The seventh thing is, do you have a credit score? Now, credit score is one of those things that has absolutely nothing to do with pretty much how much money you make. It's about debt management. But for people with very terrible credit scores, it says something to you. You could make a lot of money and have a terrible credit score, but it puts you in this weird situation where when you go get a car, if you go buy a house, or anything big ticket that you want to finance, if you don't pay for it in cash, you'll be subjected to a ridiculous amount of interest rate because you don't have a good credit. Now, if you don't have credit at all, it's not a bad thing, a zero credit score, because that puts you in this weird space where you have to work extra hard to find ways to finance things or to buy things in cash. But it is possible, and Dave Ramsey really recommends this. It's possible to live a completely normal life without credit score. But it's still important that if you choose to participate in this credit system, to manage your debts well and to make sure that you keep your debt to income ratio very low, and you keep an eye on that credit score and do what's best to make sure that it stays high so that you can qualify for a good interest rate. And the last but absolutely not the least is, what is your net worth? Most people in their 20s, early 20s have a negative net worth. So it's not an anomaly. And this negative net worth is because you're taking your assets minus your liabilities. Because a lot of people in their early 20s very normally, own less assets, and then the huge student loan payment subtracts it, so they have a negative net worth. Now, it is possible to get into the positive by paying off that debt, which makes way for you to have a positive net worth and to grow your net worth. Statistically, the older you get, the more your net worth is, because you're accumulating assets, you're growing your 401k, your Roth IRA, your retirement accounts, you have more things to your name. But if you are able to answer what your net worth is and it's in the negatives, you're probably broke. Doesn't mean you're not making money. You could be making $100,000 a year, but then you owe $300,000 in student loan debt, car loan, other personal loan, credit cards, and therefore your net worth is negative if you don't have any big assets to offset that. So if that answers your question, there's still things that you can do to ensure that you put yourself in the best financial situation. And we're going to go through that right now, because one of the first things to do is to, again, make a budget. It is really important to make a budget and follow it, and to live your life in a planned state and not just be spontaneous and this comes along so you buy it, and this comes along and you buy it, and you just keep buying things. Or the excuse of experience. You can have experiences, great experiences, but you want to make sure that you do not put yourself in a financial bind just to have an experience, because the experience of being broke or homeless, not being able to pay your rent, not being able to put food on the table, it's not worth going on a vacation that you can afford to be in that situation. So you want to make sure that you get a budget, and it is a budget that is tailored to you. Next is to pay off all of your debt, especially your high interest rate debts. Now, you could use the snowball method or the avalanche method, which I have an entire video on, so check it out. But it's recommended that people use the snowball method because they have a higher chance of succeeding once they are able to progressively pay off their debt versus the avalanche method. But if I had, say, a 30% credit card debt versus a 3% auto loan debt, I'm definitely paying off that credit card debt first. Now, you want to make sure that you do all of this from smallest to largest, not including your mortgage at first, because your mortgage is somewhat with stable debt, and then after, if you want to pay off your mortgage quicker, then you can do that. But pay off all of your debts. It would really open up your biggest wealth building tool, which is your income. So your income can go towards other things that are more beneficial in building assets and wealth. Next is to be saving for retirement. Retirement is coming for most of us. The average lifespan in America is over 70 years old. So if you want to have a good retirement, if you don't want to work till the last day of your life, make sure to start saving now. Even the tiniest amount, even if it's $100 a month, make sure that you are saving from your young age all the way to your older age, and progressively build over. Take advantage of these tax advantaged accounts for retirement, whether it's your traditional IRA or 401k where you don't pay any taxes on the money going in, you do pay taxes when you take it out, or your Roth 401k or Roth IRA, which you pay the taxes now, but it grows tax free. So make sure that you find out which one is best for you and start saving for retirement now. The next thing is to make big ticket goal items and to start saving for them as well. If you want to buy a car, a bigger car, better car, a house, so you want to save up for the down payment, a wedding, even have children, where do you see your life? If you want to go on this once in a lifetime vacation, that's something too. Once you're financially stable, you can take those trips. So make that a financial goal and save up towards it so that when they come up, you're not going into debt for them, but you are ready to experience it and enjoy the moment. The next I'm going to say is to fix your credit score. So you have to determine, are you a credit card person? Are you a credit person? Do you even want to participate in the credit system? If no, start closing accounts, pay off all of your debt, and do not open any credit system. And by a year or so, typically your credit score will fall to 0. But if you do want to participate, fix up your credit and make sure you have a high credit score. For whatever reason you want to keep your credit open, make sure that it is above 700 so you can get a good one, so you're not just wasting money on interest. The creditors make money on your interest, so the better your credit score, the better chance you have of getting a good interest rate. The last but absolutely not least is to evaluate your career trajectory and to see where you are, where you're going, and how much you can expect to be making in your future in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And if it's not higher or significantly higher, you may want to reevaluate. Now, we all love to do something, and everything that you love to do may not make you money. There's some career fields that just don't have the best track record for income, but there's several things that you can do if that's the case, whether it's having a side business, a side hustle, getting a second job. But oftentimes when we're talking about finances, financial freedom, paying off debt, what do you use to do that? It's your income. Your income is very important, and there's sometimes where you make so little that you can't make headway because you just don't make enough to make the minimum monthly payments on everything and to still survive. So make sure that you are evaluating where you are and ask yourself, is this the career field for me? Am I making enough money? Do I need to take on more opportunities to increase my income? And that just might be the answer. Today we live in an information age where you can work online, you ride shares and the food ordering, shopping, grocery shopping. So there's a lot of opportunity. It's not maybe what you want to do, but sometimes you have to sacrifice for the meantime in order to make headway and have a better future than you otherwise would. But ask yourself, is this the best career field for me? And is it keeping me paid? Is it keeping me in a good position to have a bright financial future? And if your answer is no, you may want to explore something else alongside it or altogether. And if yes, make sure that you work hard to be the best person you can in that field. And with that, I am bringing this video to a closure. Thank you so much. Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel and ring the notification bell because I post a video every Tuesday and Friday. Come on over. Leave in the comment section, are you broke? What makes you broke? What doesn't make you broke? Let's make it lighthearted. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.